Welcome to Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Meghan Payton, and thank you to our presenting sponsor, BetQL. If you use the link below me, that is chatsports.com/SteelersQL, use the promo code ChatSteelers. You can get 25% off of all of their subscription offerings. More to come on this, but let's get into this underwhelming performance by the Steelers in this week 2 matchup against the Raiders. The Raiders came on top with this one, beating the Steelers 26-17. And I thought the Steelers were going to win this game, and I definitely didn't think that this was going to be the result. So I think there's a lot of people who were surprised by this, and there's a lot to unpack here. But before we get into everything that happened, I'd like you guys to go to the comments right now and grade the Steelers' week 2 performance. Let me know if you guys think, hey, maybe you think it's an A. Maybe you think they played amazing. Maybe you think it was an F and everything needs to change. I'm guessing it's going to be somewhere in the middle. For me, I'll give it a C+. I think that there's things that are in the Steelers' control that they need to change. And I think that there was also just a lot of bad luck, which we're going to get into. But let me know what you guys think the Steelers' week 2 performance grade should be. Obviously, the most upsetting thing that happened in this week 2 game was TJ Watt. I mean, God, I hope that he's back here soon. Watt suffered a groin injury in the second quarter of this game, and he did not return. He had a sack. He had a forced fumble before he he performed exactly like we'd hope. And we've talked about this, when you're paying someone that much and it's for a reason, you hate to see someone like this hurt. I'm really hoping that this timetable doesn't take too long. I'm hoping that maybe we can see him back here, hopefully next week, if not the week after. We'll obviously keep you guys updated on his injury. But for now, we need some guys to step up. We need Melvin Ingram, Alex Highsmith. Those are kind of people that are going to need to take that next level while TJ Watt is out. And hey, we saw Melvin Ingram. He got his first sack as a Steeler. And so I think that he was like, hey, I know I've got to, kind of step up to the plate. He did that. So there's props to him for, just taking on that role. Another injury we've got to note is Tyson Alualu. He was out early in the first quarter. He fractured his right ankle. So this one, we know this isn't going to be a very short injury. I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say that they're going to probably be placing him on IR. Hopefully, we're looking at more of like the minimum time. We don't know an exact timetable, but to me, this is a huge blow for the Steelers' defensive line. He has been performing really well, great nose tackle. And so to see a guy like this get hurt so early on in this season, it's a problem. And these aren't the only 2 injuries that the Steelers are dealing with. Coming into this game, they had a lot of guys on the inactive list. I mean, Joe Hayden, that's a big loss. Hopefully he's dealing also with a groin injury. Devin Bush with a groin injury. Carlos Davis, knee. These are guys that if you can only have so much depth on the defensive side of things. So if we don't see some healthy improvement from these injuries, the Steelers are going to have a hard time moving past this. This is where I say, yes, this is some of the issues that are out of the Steelers' control, but this is a problem. And as you can see on the list, Dwayne Haskins, he was just a scratch, as well as Rashad Coward. I don't know. With all of the injuries on defense, though, this is what leads me to one of my hot takes of the games. I don't understand how Tomlin does not go for it on 4th and 1. You don't have a strong enough defense right now to rely so heavy on your defense stopping Derek Carr and their offense and getting the ball back. I don't see, it wasn't even 4th and 1. It was like 4th and inches. I don't understand how you don't go for that in the fourth quarter with like 9 minutes left in the game. Maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe I'd like a little bit of a risky play caller. What do you guys think? Go to the comments right now. Should Tomlin, should have he gone for it? Let me know. If you think he should have, type G for go. And if not, type P for punt. I think he should have gone for it. And like we said, this video is presented by BetQL. I just want to tell you guys what they're doing. They give the best bet recommendations for every game across all sports platforms. Whether you're going to bet on football, basketball, baseball, I don't care what it is, but you want to make smart bets. They're going to give you all of the recommendations to do so. If you go to chatsports.com/SteelersQL, you got to use our access code ChatSteelers. You're going to get 25% off of all of their subscription offerings. If you're going to bet this year, make smart bets, do it right, and BetQL is the place to do it. And another call I have a problem with, this time it's not on Mike Tomlin. This call was on the refs, and to me, this was total BS. I don't care. There's a lot of penalties that happened during this game, but to me, the terrible call was on Spillane. That was just ridiculous, in my opinion. That was an unnecessary roughness call. I mean, Carr wasn't even sliding. To me, that was a clean hit, and that call resulted in a Raiders field goal. And yes, you can look at the score and say, well, no, they lost by more than 3 points, but those things matter. That changes momentum. To me, I think the refs got that completely wrong. But I mean, I saw some Steelers fans agree with me, but maybe you guys don't. Go to the comments right now. Do you guys think that the refs called that right? If you think so, type Y for yes, and if not, type N for no. I'm sticking by no. That was a terrible call. But on the positive notes, there's a lot of negatives we can talk about in this game, but I do think that there are some positive things that we should note, and I think Spillane's performance is one of them. He looked great shutting down the run. He is performing really well, and I think that the Steelers are going to need to use him a lot during this season. He had 12 tackles. He had a tackle for loss. This is a guy that I'm really excited about this season, and I think he's a dominant tackler. I think that, yeah, sure, he's going to be a kind of guy that gets maybe those unnecessary roughness calls, some not legit, some legit, but to me, he's a guy to be excited about. Now we kind of take a look into what Big Ben did. Now you can see he had 295 yards. That's pretty good. I'm not saying he had a great performance, but I'm not saying he had a terrible performance. He had one interception, but that really wasn't his fault. Deontay Johnson stopped running there. And again, those are problems. Those are issues where we see those interceptions that results in some sort of, I think the Raiders got a field goal off of that. Those are momentum changes. So to me, that's on Johnson. He should have kept going with that route. And I think that overall we can look at Big Ben's performance and say, sure, it was good and it was fine. He had a touchdown. He got a touchdown. But overall, my problem is the way that he got hit. If he keeps going like this, it's going to be a problem. But overall, yes, Derek Carr did have a better performance than Big Ben. I think that can be expected. You're dealing with an older quarterback and a guy that just got hit too many times during this game. But someone that I am excited about, I think still does need improvement. I think that's kind of on the Steelers system, but I'm excited about Najee Harris. His stiff arm block today was so insane. That might have been, for all the negative things that happened during this game, that might have been my favorite thing that did happen. Not to mention his touchdown, his first NFL touchdown, which actually did result in Trey Turner being disqualified for spitting on a Raider. So I'm sure, yes, of course, we find a way to make that into a negative. But I guess if he did spit on a guy, that is understandable. But Najee Harris, I think, just showed that he can prove more than he was last week. And I think it's only going to get better from here. I mean, he had 10 carries, 38 yards, his first touchdown. I'm excited about what he's going to do for the Steelers offense. Juju Smith-Schuster back looking like himself. He had 6 receptions, 41 yards, 17 long, and a rushing touchdown in this week's game. So I'm not saying that he had a ton of receptions, but the times he did, he looked good. I think this is just always a good key player to have. Chase Claypool, that was a guy early on. I feel like in the game we weren't seeing much. I mean, he kind of dropped a few passes. I was kind of looking at him going, what's happening? But he made up for it with his 52-yard reception later in the game. So this is where we talk about the depth in the receiver group. I think that this is an area that we can be excited about for the Steelers. I think even their guys like James Washington, who we talked about last time, Chase Claypool, Juju, all of these people are going to help in an area that maybe they were struggling with, or just kind of help in areas where even if they're not struggling, they can kind of bring it together. Deontay Johnson, another one, I was upset with him because of the touchdown or the interception that he essentially caused by stopping his run, but he redeemed himself later with a 41-yard reception in the second quarter. He had 9 receptions for 105 yards. So again, another guy I'm excited about. But overall, I'm not excited about how this game turned out. It's just, we can look at some of these players and say, yes, they played great. This worked out good, but it didn't work out good enough. Though I will say, I have my own biggest standout of this week 2 game. Who is your biggest standout? I think for me, my biggest standout is Najee Harris. And hear me out. I'm not saying that he looked like an all-star running back that, is going to lead the team to the Super Bowl, but I'm saying that we saw a huge improvement from him than last week. And just the way that he can block, the way that he can dive and make that touchdown, I'm excited about Najee Harris. Now, we talked to you guys a little bit about what BetQL is. I want to let you guys know that they are doing a kind of sponsorship agreement with BetMGM. If you go to chatsports.com/SteelersMGM, if you deposit $10 into your bank account, bet $10, and then you'll receive a free year of BetQL. Guys, this is a free year of best bet recommendations. If you are going to be putting any money down whatsoever in any sport, this is the deal you want to do in order to get your best bet recommendations. Some final thoughts I have as we end this week 2, whether you want to call it disaster, upsetting, ending, I don't know what you want to call it, but just some final thoughts that I have were Ahkello Witherspoon, he got beat today. I think that they were also worried about Darren Waller, and it kind of messed them up in other ways. I think that he got beat out by Ruggs really bad. I think that the injuries on defense are going to be a problem. That is the strong suit of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so when you have so many guys like that going down, I mean, there's just only so much depth you can have. So I'm just hoping for Pittsburgh's sake that some of these guys are going to be back sooner than later. Another point out, I'll end on a positive note, is that Chris Boswell deserves all of the credit. He hit a 56-yard field goal, which is the longest in Heinz Field history. So we can be excited about some things. I think that there is obviously a lot of room for improvement. What is your biggest concern going into this week 3 game? I mean, I'd say I have a lot of concerns, but my biggest concern is the injuries. The injuries to me are what's going to affect how they play for the rest of the season, how quick they can come back from those. But go to the comments right now and let me know, what is your biggest concern from Sunday's loss?